Welcome to Ask the Expert, an award-winning daily series from 8:30 to 9 a.m. to help small businesses. Now, if you have any questions, please do ask them in the comments of the live feed. And if you need any more advice, join the official Intuit QuickBooks SMB community group on Facebook, where accountants and business experts are on hand 24/7. During the live session, we'll be running a poll, so please do engage with it and I'll reveal the results at the end. So my name is Anne-Marrie Martin, and I'm the founder and franchisor of Diddi Dance. We run preschool dance classes, which I franchised many years ago. So we run all across the UK. So I'm going to talk today about why female entrepreneurs should go into franchising. So I'm going to start, excuse me, I've got some notes, but I'm going to start with a few stats. Now, there was an Alison Rose review of female entrepreneurship, first published in 2019. It found that only 1 in 3 entrepreneurs are female. Women are less likely than men to consider starting a business and less likely to scale up their business if they do. Also, the Rose Review also finds that only 39% of women are confident in their capabilities compared to 55% of men. It's interesting. Now, when we go on to the latest BFA NatWest survey, sorry, I keep looking down, I want to get these stats correct for you. This showed that a 20% rise in females choose to start their business in franchising. And although this is a positive uplift, there is still plenty of work to be done. So this leads me on to why. Why is that? And I think what it is, women typically have a much higher risk awareness than men. 55%, they are 55% more likely than men to cite a fear of going it alone for a primary reason for not starting business. Women are naturally more risk averse and they want to tick more boxes before they start anything. There's lots more things that we want to make sure are right before taking that plunge. So I think this is actually where franchising can be great, because if you wanted to go into business, if you're maybe not a business owner yet, and you didn't want as much risk, franchising can be great. So the whole concept of buying into a franchise network, you are working with an established brand. Some of these brands have been going tens and tens of years, like ourselves. You get fully trained, coached, guided through the entire process, and there is ongoing support and guidance through that as well. They've done all the testing, all the setup, and that franchise business already knows what works. So any franchisee coming in is working on that proven business system. But also you've got a network. And I think this is where, especially during the last 2 years, it has really found value in the industry of franchising, because you have got that network, not just of the head office team to support you, but also that network of the other franchisees to tap into. And it's really important going through anything or going through any unprecedented times that you really do make sure that you've got that network around you to achieve success. But if you're already a business owner, and then you want to upscale, franchising could be a great way to do that for your existing business. It offers brand protection. So when you've built and sorted out a business that you're really passionate about, and you want that to be available maybe just across the UK or maybe even worldwide, you are building something where the brand is completely there, and you feel that you can run that for other people across all the different areas, then it's really important. Franchising can be a great route for that. There are many different routes to scale up your business. You might want to license something where it's a bit less training and there's not as much brand protection on there. It's more of the name, and people have that flexibility to do what they want with that business. But franchising really is, you've got a full operations manual, Everything is very, very detailed, down to the branding, down to the operations, the logistics, but also it's an exclusive territory. So a franchisee buying into that network is given that exclusive territory where nobody else from that brand can encroach on their area. So they've got that exclusive customer database to come from. But as I say, there are many different routes, and franchising isn't for every business. Products, especially now the whole world is online, it's a lot easier to sell your products through digital space and not necessarily need franchising now. Or there might be certain service-based industries where there's an overarching brand that they tend to outsource that local service providers who might not just exclusively work for that brand, they might have their own local offering as well. But I do think franchising is great, because especially our service or location base, it is a strong opportunity to grow and scale your business. So I hope that's helped a little bit today. I could go on about franchising forever. I really do believe whether you want to come in, you want to buy into the business, you know you want to be a business owner, but you haven't got that light bulb moment, that original concept to start a business yourself. Or, as women, we're feeling a little bit more risky to do so. That is where buying into a franchise network can really give you that stability and give you that business ownership, because the franchising, you definitely are in business for yourself, but not by yourself. And that's a really great thing that franchising as a whole is all about. I'm always available. I volunteer for an organisation called EWIF, encouraging women into franchising. And that is all about giving back as an ambassador for that and advising people. If you ever do want to reach out, please do get in touch with me, and I'll mention my contact details at the end. So we're going to move on to a few questions. Let's have a look what is coming in. We've got Claudia on Messenger. As a female business owner in my first year, I didn't realise how knackering it could be just dealing with other people's microaggressions on a weekly or daily business. How do you navigate this while remaining positive? Well, I think it's definitely about mindset, but also about acknowledging your strengths and weaknesses. Not always a weakness, but your strengths and your not so many strengths. It's about playing to it. So if you know that certain elements trigger you or are not something that you necessarily have a lot of patience with, is your business at a level where maybe you could bring on a freelancer or a virtual assistant to do those sort of things for you, so that you take a step back from the things that you feel are really draining you, so that you can focus on the things that you can keep positive about. I've definitely found that with my business. As the business grew, I found that I needed to focus on the things that I knew I was stronger at, and bringing people that are better qualified or more experienced than me to do those things, because they can deliver that on a better way than I can, but also it allows me to remain positive and focused on the other things that I am really strong at. So I hope that helps. It's very hard when you're starting, because you can't always bring in those people yet. But I would definitely say nowadays, with the flexibility that a lot of freelancers and virtual assistants have, it can be a very cost-effective way of navigating yourself as a business owner and really trying to delegate and grow the business that way. Marjorie on Instagram. Are there any forums, groups or resources that you're a part of that support new business owners, particularly female entrepreneurs? There are lots. When I first started the business, it was government-backed schemes, business lead centres. So I found there's lots of great resources out there. I do find that has diminished slightly now. However, I have seen a slight shift since the pandemic, where I think the UK coming to rebuild the economy has focused a lot more on entrepreneurship. So there are great I mean, I know a lot in the franchising. There's the British Franchise Association, great source of information. And as I mentioned, encouraging women into franchising, that's a great source of knowledge and support and guidance as well. I think women in business, if you did a Google search or even on Instagram, a lot of them are there. There are lots of women-led networks, women in business, mums in business. So if you have a little Google and a little search, because I think some of them are led to different industries. There are lots of those supporting small creative businesses. There are lots of those supporting service-based businesses. So maybe look for your industry type as well. So I'm in many different support groups, even this Facebook group on social media that support the Kids Activities Network. So I would look for industry specific ones as well, because I think whilst it's great sometimes being in groups, some of the franchising groups you're hearing from van-based businesses, fast food, it's great to hear about those and think, oh, I could just do that in my business. But sometimes there's nothing better than being in a group of those all in the same industry, where you all really, really understand where you're all coming from. So I hope that helps. Carl on Twitter, what process do you have evaluating a franchise opportunity? Carl, I might need a little bit more detail there. Do you mean evaluating a franchise opportunity when I'm giving advice out, or do you mean franchise opportunity as in a potential franchisee? I think when I give some advice to people thinking about franchising, I'm not a franchise consultant, so I would always advise that person to go to a franchise consultant whose expertise is there. They will do a feasibility study on that business. Be completely honest and transparent with them, not all of them. Always look through a few franchise consultants let them analyse your business and be completely honest if franchising is the right route for you. I would always look at something and I try and give it from a personal perspective as a franchisor of these are some of the pitfalls I went through. These are some of the things I went through on trademarking. So these are some of the things to think about to help you evaluate for yourself whether franchising is right for you. But I would always then ask that person to go to a qualified franchise consultant to get that expert advice and do a feasibility study on that business opportunity before you go down the line of franchising it, because it's an expensive way to grow and scale your business, but that legals involved and making sure that that is all in place so that down the line you are completely covered for your franchise network. Lindsay on Instagram, what sort of things would a franchisor be asking about in the discovery process or leading up to validation that we should prepare for? So, Lindsay, I presume you're looking at a few franchise opportunities right now, and that is a brilliant question. There's lots of information on the BFA website, and it also gives a free course that you can do as a potential franchisee. Gives you lots of knowledge about franchising as a whole, gives you a few Q&As and questions that you can go through to help you analyse if you think franchising is best for you. But I think, and it gives you tips on there as well, what to ask a franchisor. But for us as franchisors, what we want to know, really want to know about you as a person. What is your motivation? What is your passion? What is your drive? Because any ethical franchisor wants to know that really this franchisee, the business is right for them. So for us at Diddi Dance, if on a discovery day when we're asking a lot of questions, if we feel that Diddi Dance isn't right for them, we're not just going to take their money and go, oh yeah, brilliant, let's sell another one and you can go off and do it, and we don't genuinely believe you could make a go of it, but hey, we've made a sale. It's not about sales, it's about awarding those franchises to the right people. So we're going to ask about your passion, we're going to ask about your motivation, we're going to ask about your drive, we're going to ask about your experience, but that really is a small part of it, experience, because the whole point of franchising is that the franchisor will give you all the training and guidance you need to be successful. But it's about finding the right people that are right for that industry, so for us, kids' activities, but also that right drive and self-motivation that can really drive a franchise forward. We're also going to probably ask you about times that you might have been put in stressful situations or pressured environment, to try and get a grasp of how you would be as a business owner, especially if you haven't done it before. So I hope there's a few tips there that are helping you think about that as well. Okay, Connor on Facebook Messenger. I am currently a franchisee and I've been notified that a franchisor has sold up to one of our competitors. They are trying to get us to sign up into a joint venture shareholders agreement with the new company, including increased fees and a profit share. What rights do we have? Connor, I would love to be able to answer this in detail, but that is definitely a question for a franchise lawyer. So I would definitely say what you need to do is go to a franchise specific lawyer or solicitor, and there are plenty out there. Go to the BFA website or EWIF's website, and there will be all of their qualified members that are there to advise you specifically on franchise law. What we find a lot with potential franchisees is they might take our franchise agreement to a regular solicitor who doesn't always understand franchise law, and they will be like, oh, don't sign that. It's written way too heavily in the franchisor's favour, which is what a franchise agreement needs to be, because it needs to be heavily written to protect the brand and the current network. So look up a specific franchise lawyer or franchise solicitor. They have to look through what exactly that joint venture and shareholders agreement entails, and know what your rights are within that, and compare that to what your current franchise agreement is with your current franchisor before selling it on. So I'm sorry I can't go into more detail with that, but it's definitely not my field of expert. I wish I trained in law. But yeah, I would say go to one of those organisations and look for one of their recommended suppliers on that. Aidan on Twitter. If you're in a licensing situation, why do you say there's a risk of competing against yourself? Well, because usually, and license is set up a little bit differently, and because I haven't licensed my business, I don't know all the ins and outs of it. But the main point of franchising is that you get an exclusive territory. So that exclusive territory means that no other diddi dance franchisee can go into their area and advertise, and we have lots of crossovers. You know, customers might live on the border of one franchisee but can't make classes in those days, that might end up going to another franchisee, and vice versa. And we run our network in a very supportive way like that. We don't run it in a competitive, you mustn't take my customers. It would be completely unlogistical and unethical. But licensing, if you were looking under a fitness, for example, a lot of that you might do a weekend course, you might do a day course, and you get the license to be able to use that style of fitness and use it wherever you want, adapt it slightly to however you want. But you might be here, and 2 roads down there might be somebody else who is also offering those fitness style classes. But that's where you can be competing against yourself. I think when it comes to something like that, it's very much individual led. So customers might come to you because they trust you as that instructor, and are loyal to you and have been to you to do that style fitness, and now you're now offering that style fitness, they're going to stay with you. But as a brand, if you were saying, right, I now offer this style of fitness, so do they, it might look completely different, and you might literally be within roads of each other. So that's how you would potentially compete against yourself. Jenny on Twitter. You briefly touched on trademarking. All of that confuses me and worries me. If I am thinking about launching a business, what should I be getting trademarked, and how do I go about it? Jenny, that's a great question, and I will tell you my little story on that. So when I first started the classes, which was back in 2003, when I then decided after a couple of years, this concept's really working, I tested it in all different areas of London. I then trained up some teachers, took myself out of the equation, and saw to check if that concept worked without me in the equation, which it did. I then said, right, I need to make sure this name is trademarked. So effectively, what a trademark is it's protecting your brand name, and you can trademark your logo as well. So I trademarked the name, which was Funky Feet at the time, and it was all great, spent the money. Then when I came to franchise it, my franchise consultant said, okay, you've got the trademark, let's just do a quick Google search. I mean, back in 2006, it's quite a clunky Google search. It's about, we needed to see if anybody else was already using the name Funky Feet for kids' dance classes before I bought the trademark. So whenever you think of a business name, especially if you want to franchise and go across the UK, your franchisees need to be buying in to an original name that isn't going to be confused with somebody else who's already doing Funky Feet dance classes down the road. So I'd already bought the trademark, but when we did a Google search, there were Funky Feet kids dance classes all over the UK, and they had been started before I bought the trademark. So I couldn't do anything about that, because if you were to take it further, it would prove that they'd already been using it. And so panic set in. What am I going to do? I can't franchise. The business is over. It's ruined. And my franchise consultant said, we just need to change the name. That's all we need to do. So anyway, I like alliteration, and I was thinking about, what do I do? Well, we dance, and they're little, they're diddi, and it was literally as quick as that. So what we did before buying another trademark was Google that name, diddi dance kids dance classes. Nobody else was using that name. Perfect. Now we go and buy the trademark. Then we know we've got an exclusive name. We know we're the first people to use it, and anybody else that then comes in, we can then say, sorry, that's our trademark, you're infringing on that. And it covers phonetic spelling as well. And that's how you protect your brand and your name. So you're looking at trademarking your name and trademarking your logo. You don't want, and believe me, I've had plenty of times where it's our whole logo and they've just changed the name. And so do protect your logo as well. So that is what you should be looking at. And you literally go on the Gov website, do a trademark search, and you search your name in the trademark register. If it's already been taken in the categories that you need it for, look at another name. But do make sure you Google that name before investing, buying that trademark as well. So I hope that helps. Alicia on Instagram. I run a pizza place in my local area, but want to scale. But whenever I think about franchising, I'm so conscious of how oversaturated my market is. How do you know if the way I do pizza is unique enough to scale? That is the $1 million question, Alicia. When you come to franchise, and it's the same in the kids' activities industry nowadays, it is definitely a more saturated market than it was when I first franchised back in 2006, pilot franchise. It really is honing in, what is your USP? What would make buying into your new pizza franchise more attractive to a franchisee than the bigger established brands out there? Might be cost. It might be that, like I've mentioned, you are piloting that franchise. So it's a very heavily discounted franchise in return for building that business together and establishing how you operate as a franchisor yourself. But I think when you are going into any saturated market where there are some of the big brands out there, you've really got to focus in on what your USP is and what would be your sales out there, not just to find franchisees, but what can you give your franchisees when they are competing with another pizza place down the road that is a big, well-established brand. And it might be that you're going down the messaging of shop local, support small business. It might be that extra touch. It might be something in the recipe you're using. It might be something in the process that how you make those pizzas. So really hone in, write it down. What are our unique selling points? What are the things that would make us different to a potential franchisee and to our franchisees' customers? So I hope that helps as well. Gary on Twitter, what sort of support do franchisees get from Sorry about that. What sort of support do franchisees get from the franchisor and the wider network? The whole point of franchising is that franchisor is there for you for every step of the way. It is about, they've been there, they've done it themselves, and some of us, like myself, still do it. So part of my strength is that I love teaching the classes, and I find that's where my strength is. So I still run my own franchise, and I'm on that front line, as it were, doing it. So I feel all that support I can give the franchisees is on that same level. We're all dealing with customers every day. I'm teaching the children every day, so I can give them a really good understanding. But that is what you want from a franchisor, that they have been there, they've done it, they are passionate about their brand still. You want to know that that franchisor is pushing that brand for you on a national level and helping you get that awareness out to your level as well. So you should have a full operations manual, social media manual, training manual. We have a launch manual as well. We have a head office team now that can give them expert advice on their social media, their marketing, their financials. There is a lot that franchisor should be giving you, not just in the initial setup, but on an ongoing basis. We run monthly webinars. We bring in experts to talk about different areas of business, whether it's algorithms on social media, financials, whether it's the latest legal update, whether it's accounting, VAT, all of those things that should be ongoing. But also the franchisor should be able to let franchisees support each other as well. That's one thing I'm not so strong at. I always feel like I need to jump in with the answers because I'm the franchisor and I should have all the answers. But sometimes you need to step back so that the franchisees can support each other as well. So it's definitely about having an open space where they can support each other, encourage them to come together. We do monthly Zooms, and also we do an annual conference. I haven't done it for 2 years, but we are this year, where you can get all those franchisees together face to face. And really that is where massive support comes from as well. One final question. Sinead on Facebook Messenger, you talked a little bit about women being less risk averse. They're more risk averse, but I've always thought of that as a massive benefit. We know what we're doing and we do it well. That being said, I do think I could be more decisive and move quicker. How do we become more agile? I don't think being more risk averse is a bad trait. Absolutely not, because we do tick more boxes before we go into something, and that is definitely a positive trait. Yes, it can hold us back a few times, and that is why I think franchising is great, because it is a less risky business option to go into. Even if you've got a business that you think you want to scale and it feels risky, you know that you will speak to many different franchisors, franchise suppliers before you make that decision. So it's a good trait to have. But yes, every now and again, I think it does stop us. And we do think, and that's like I said in the Alison Rose review, sometimes it can be a confidence thing. So I think there is an element of being in networks where there are men as well. I do think if that natural yin and yang, no, that natural men are from Mars, women from Venus, whatever that saying is, learning from your peers from both genders is definitely a positive thing as well. So it might be that a man has said in a group, well, actually, you don't need to do that because you need to go for it and do this. And it might just resonate like, actually, that is just the kick up the bum I needed to go for it. So I think surround yourself with very positive, inspirational and motivational people in business of both genders, obviously, so that you can learn from that and you can inherit certain traits that might just give you that little push that you might need at times. So Sinead, definitely don't see it as a negative. It's definitely a positive that we want to make sure things are a bit more boxes ticked, but always good to have that little motivation as well. So quickly, we had the poll today and we asked you, have you thought about franchising your business? Oh, only 30% of you said yes, and 70% answered no. That's really interesting. I'd love to know a little bit more. You can contact me. I'll give my details at the end. But is that because you'd not heard about franchising? Because there's lots of misconception about franchising, multi-level marketing, or films in America being a franchise. The messaging about franchising can be very confusing sometimes. So maybe you've not heard of it. Maybe that you'd heard of it, but heard of it in a negative way because of other things relating themselves to franchising. Or have you just thought, oh, I'm quite happy where I am and I don't want to scale my business? So that's a really interesting stat. So thank you so much for getting involved. Well, thank you for tuning in this morning. If you do want to get in contact with me, you can send me an email to info@diddidance.com, and you can follow me on Instagram at Original Diddi Dancer, DIDDI. Coming up on Ask the Expert tomorrow is accountant and founder of Isle Bookkeeping, Lucy Johnson. Tune in to learn everything you need to know when your business is approaching that VAT threshold. And a reminder that if you need any more advice, join the official Intuit QuickBooks SMB community group on Facebook. Accountants and business experts are on hand 24/7. I've really enjoyed answering your questions this morning, and have a great day. Thanks a lot. Bye.